So the first piece of news we're going to get to tonight is this crazy blizzard storm that happened in Texas. Um, People died. People's houses are completely ruined. It was really horrible. Electricity was lost for I think 4 or 5 days. People didn't have heat. People were actually I think living in some stores for some days.
This is
Um,
what you get when you have windmills, okay? Because not only do the windmills not work, they make it even colder with all the wind that they create.
That's not how they work. The wind is supposed to move the turbines, which helps out with electricity, but they just weren't
There
prepared
were
for some.
turbines. There were turbines there, so
That's what
this
they're.
was a terrorist attack.
No, it's called wind turbines. It's not turbines. Turbine is what you wear in your head, and the wind turbines are like the windmills that you're talking about.
Well, we'll see.
That's what it is. We
So
won't have to
those
say.
windmills only account for 10% of the power. What about the other 90% of the power in Texas that also went out?
Well, they were
I
saying
think.
I think the
Excuse me. I
grids.
don't think he was talking to the tech stuff guy. Okay.
I
I
don't.
th-
Okay.
I think that the
I think you need a new tech stuff guy. I mean, it's just me. Does you feel a little mouthy to you, or is just am I
it,
just adding too much to it?
no, I think we've had the agency that sends over these tech stuff people. They seem to always treat rule one: be rude to the president. Seems to be sort of like the main lesson that they leave the office with. But no, I think the other 90% were probably just following the lead of the windmills. And, the natural gas is, it's a nice energy, natural, it's natural. And it sees the windmill and says, well, sir, I guess I'll follow you, windmill. You're a big, tall guy like President Trump, so we'll follow you. What's the worst could happen? And the worst that could happen is we lose our country.
We didn't lose our country. It's just I mean, the state, it was a tragedy for a good almost a week where everything fell apart there. How would you have dealt with the situation, Mr. President, if you were in Ted
Things
Cruz's
Fall
shoes?
Apart, by the way, Things Fall Apart was a famous book by I think just an African. I don't think it was an African American.
That's true. It was also a famous album by the Roots, who are African Americans.
Quest, Quest Love. I don't know if I love him. I call him Quest like.
Right, right, same. Now, I did think Ted Cruz messed up because, and I think Trump would have definitely done a better job because once he got on the plane to leave to Cancun, he came back. And I don't think President Trump comes back in that situation. I think he's already on the beach and there's no need to come back.
You know what happens when the fake news? You're great guest, by the way. Tech stuff guy doesn't give me this kind of feedback. I would have gotten to Mexico. Well, I wouldn't have gone to Mexico, but let's say hypothetically, I'm going to a great resort in Mexico, uh, and I hear the fake news criticizing me. I look to my wife, Mesopotamia, and I say, "Darling, extend the vacation another 2 weeks. We're not going back for a while. That'll show the fake news." But Ted Cruz is very weak, and he showed how weak he is. I think we would have been better off. For Black History Month, I would have preferred if we had Terry Crews instead of Ted Cruz. That would have gone a lot better.
He would have liked to be there too.
Very strong guy, Terry Crews.
Yes.
Is jacked. But Mr. President, so you're telling me if you were in charge of Texas and your state went under from Mother Nature just freezing your whole entire state, you would, if you did leave and people talked bad about you that you left, you would say, you know what? I'm gonna stay even longer. Is that how you would deal with your people? I don't understand that.
Okay, first of all, I wouldn't have gone. So let's get the first part is I wouldn't have left. But if I was leaving for good reason, for family or for, some appropriate reason, and then the fake news wants to say, "Oh, Mr. Trump, sir, you should be staying," and then I'd go, "Now you're going to pay for being rude. I'm staying for the month."
So if they're rude, they pay with lives. Is that how it goes?
Well, you know what? Maybe all lives don't matter. I think we can agree with that. I think I think we can have a meeting here because, there's All Lives Matter, there's Black Lives Matter, and I'm sort of being a compromise person saying not all lives matter. So that brings me closer to Black Lives Matter, I think.
How do you figure out that wormhole
Well,
that
all
all
lives matter is 100%.
right?
Black Lives Matter is the black percent.
Yes.
And between the black percent and the 100%, you could have agreements saying, not all lives matter could be, you could argue that that's exactly the same as Black Lives Matter. In
Uh,
fact, it's just another way to say it. I think it's another way to say it.
have you just coined a new phrase for the movement?
The Not All Lives movement.
The not all lives movement?
It's a longer T-shirt slogan, but I mean, it could theoretically work.
If you saw the Capitol, the patriotic, peaceful protests at the Capitol, I think we prove that certainly not all blue lives matter. So I think we're really coming to a sort of agreement.
That's a good point.
So you think Ted Cruz is a cuck for coming back from Mexico?
I don't. I think Ted Cruz was a cuck a long time before this trip.
You
Also,
think he's weak though?
Why didn't he take his dog?
Can we go off the podcast record?
1 second. We're off.
Thank you. I don't like animals. I don't like most people. But even I watched what Ted Cruz did and sort of questioned maybe he really is a serial killer. Like, there's something off with this guy. I mean, really off. And I've got my issues, but this guy, I think we're looking at a thing where one day he's just going to walk into the Senate with like dynamite strapped to his chest. I think this guy is a total loose cannon, and he's so weird. Who goes to a job where everybody hates you? This guy is the most hated person in government, and he just keeps showing up. And then he leaves it. I don't know.
I mean, you called his wife ugly, and he still voted to not overturn the election, to try to overturn the election.
As your people would say, facts.
Yeah. Well, if we can we stay off the record for just a little bit longer?
Okay.
I voted 270 times in the election. Okay.
I knew it. I knew you had. I knew you did. I knew you did. Like,
yeah,
if
you
I'm
were right.
And the truth is, since we're still off the record,
Yeah.
just like I didn't like Crooked Hillary, but I know that she's a very smart person. She's incredibly smart. So there's a level of respecting your enemy.
Mhm.
So when I say the election was stolen, that's not me necessarily saying I think the thieves are bad people. I think so when I see you voting 270 times, I'm not mad at you. Okay.
Right.
That's like in a game. If you can kick a guy in the nuts and the ref doesn't see it, you know what I call that? I call that a good play. It's called a good play. Now, now I'm mad at the ref. If the ref doesn't call it, that's who I'm mad at.
Yeah.
So if you voted 270 times, I think, of course, it's a disgrace, but it's called a respectful disgrace.
And I voted so many times because I was scared of you. It was out of respect for you and your presidency that I said, if I have to go to jail for this.
Federal crime game, recognized federal crime game.
That's what it is, man. So, don't hate on the player, hate on the federal crime game.
Well, look at that. Look at that. That's called bipartisanship. Tech stuff guy. Take some notes.
Can we go? Well, let's stay off the record for one more minute. I have a question
No,
for
excuse
Rod.
me. We're going back on the right. You don't get to call. Rod can call, ask for more time. You don't get to. We're on the record.
Okay. All right. Well,
All right.
back
You don't get to make off the record calls.
All right, we're back on the record. So, is there anything else you have to say about Ted Cruz, Mr. President? Besides him being creepy and possibly go into Congress or Senate with dynamite strapped to his chest.
When do his daughters turn 18?
Oh, way too long from now.
Okay, well
they're
then I'm not,
very
then I'm gonna be respectful and I'm not gonna call them hideously ugly because a gentleman wouldn't do that to children.
But his wife is still over 18.
And we were very on the record that she is how do I put this nicely as a Christian? A disgusting sack of shit.
Very respectful.
very Christian.